welcome everybody. We've got Lisa Del Real today, and we're going to be talking about her journey as she's gone through the technology world, and we're going to find out what makes her tick today. Lisa, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Totally our pleasure. So my first question is usually like when you started this thing, your journey in the tech world. Did you knew that you were going to get into tech, or is this by accident?
I always was very tech-minded as a child. In high school, participated in many engineering workshops. So I knew I was on the path. I studied electrical engineering at university and continued just on a technology path.
So you had it in you then. What's great, interesting, because most people actually end up in the tech world by accident, but you actually had this background. So interesting. So you come from an engineering background, and how did you get into the tech industry?
Straight out of college, I joined Accenture, as we all know, a massive consulting company, and
Sure.
I fell in love with that intersection of consulting, talking about business and technology. Just felt very natural for me. And from there, I went on to mortgage banking, also associated with technology, and finally SaaS. When SaaS became a thing, when cloud arrived, and worked in unified communications.
Yeah, it's like it seems like software just came about and just changed the whole world forever, and still changing the world with AI and everything else that's going on. So great industry you picked. And so you're in the tech industry. What are some of the things that you have that sort of like navigated you through the tech industry and sort of got you to where you are right now? I believe you're at
At Clio, yep,
Clio.
that's right. And I think the important thing was networking was really important as I made my way
Mhm.
through my career, not only from a mentorship perspective, but also support. Tech industry can be tough, especially for a female when you're many times in meetings, you're maybe the only female at the table. And what I found is just having that support, those allies throughout your career is something important. So I felt that that's been a strength of some of the things that I've done.
How did you deal with it? Because it is true, isn't it? It's a male-dominated industry, and one of the things we're trying to do is change that. How is it for you, and how did you cope with it?
Yeah, I try to have some grace with myself. I think as women, we tend to be hypercritical. Perfectionism tends to really seep in. And I think just not beating myself up, just lack of better words. And also finding peers among your group that you can rely on to be someone you can be a sounding board. Oftentimes, I would find myself in meetings, and again, being the only female, I felt like, did I say that the right way, or could have said it better? But just having peers that you can call after the meetings. How did it go? Or what did you think? Was your perspective the same as mine? Really helped. And moving forward, we all make mistakes, we're all human. Getting past them, learning from it, I think has been really important.
Yeah, that having that peer group, to kind of bounce things off is so important because sometimes you feel like you're alone, and the world is sort of against you or he's looking at you, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you've got, so how important was that peer group? And did you do it did you meet often or was just as you needed or was it formalized?
It wasn't as formalized as you would think. It would happen quite naturally,
Mhm.
business trips, meals, and it became tough during COVID, to be honest with you. You sort of lost that connection. And I'm in the process of re-energizing that network and being able to reconnect with people. Because again, it's so essential for me, just moving through my career.
I totally hear you. I mean, I didn't even know how I would live without a peer group. It's sometimes, you just want to know, is it right? Is it wrong? Could it be tweaked? Is it better? Am I mad? Am I insane? Am I on the right track? You know, a sounding board.
Absolutely. And you just hope that, maybe they've walked in those shoes before. They've had the same experience. It's just that gut check, that level set to your point. Sometimes you think you're a little bit off the walls, but maybe you're not. Maybe it's the other person.
Yeah, but sometimes you're an outlier, right? And you're actually having the right idea of where things are supposed to go. and the peers look at it and go, you know what, I never thought about that, but you know what, you're right on. So it's great to get that reinforcement when when you're looking at the whole industry as a whole, right? Of course, you know, there's much less women in tech than we'd like it to be, and of course the next generation that's there, they're not, you know, maybe not all of them are getting into this industry. Certainly not all of them are, you know, engineers in the area. What would you tell those that next generation about how they should approach, consider the tech industry?
Just be curious, right? I think technology is a huge growth factor, not only in terms of the economy and opportunities for men and women. I think give it a try. You know, who knows? You might fall in love with math and science, and it is tough. It is tough to be in technology, but again, having that grace for yourself, learning from those experiences, I think is really important. In terms of networking, again, I will circle back to that. Networking extremely important, even as you're starting off in your career, and having those friends in your professional career is very important.
Yeah, they always say, you know, you're the average of the five people you hang out with the most, you know. So
That's
you might want to get the right five at your table, because if the five are leading you in a different direction, that might not be a good thing. What do you say to young people that's saying, you know, I'm not quite sure who's in this space? Shouldn't they just reach out to people in the space, like reach out to yourself and others in the industry, and just ask? Are you sort of open to that generation reaching out and asking those questions, even if they're not through the schooling process yet?
Absolutely. I would highly recommend it. I would say I especially am very open to those folks who are reaching out. And I know many of my peers would be equally happy to pass on any tips or tricks or just advice on how to navigate this technical world. Don't be shy. You know,
Mhm.
we all started somewhere. I've reached out personally to people to help me during my career journey, and I would highly encourage that.
Yeah, I think sometimes, you know, the younger generation are thinking, yeah, they don't have time for me. I don't want to bother them and so on. But it's the opposite, you know, as you get old in this business, you figure you got to do something to help the next generation, you know, get a foothold. And that's great that you and everyone does that. It's important, isn't it?
It's extremely important. We need more diversity at the table. And the only way we're going to do that is by extending that hand and being the support system for men, women, and just diversity in general.
Yeah, it's we're all in the same boat here. When you're going through this your work career, for example, were there things that or things, challenges, mistakes you made that you would say, if I went back, you know, I'd maybe do something a little bit differently?
Yeah, I really don't believe in do-overs. I think everything is a learning experience. Even the
Mhm.
really bad decisions I've made have helped me become the person that I am. And I just have an attitude of just move forward from anything that might be from my past that I'm like, oh, geez, maybe not the best decision.
You know, it's such a true statement what you just said there, because people always think, oh my, I made a mistake, I could have done this better, but then you don't make that mistake, and maybe 10 other things would have been completely different had you not made that mistake, because we learn, right, from mistakes, don't
That's
we?
right. Yeah, everything that's definitely a learning opportunity as it's painful as you're going through
Yeah,
it when you
sure.
look back, right? It's easy to look back, but absolutely in terms of being a learning opportunity, hope to avoid that again in the future.
What are you seeing, Lisa, some of the challenges in the industry in particular, and maybe why, what can an industry do better to attract more diversity into its industry?
Yeah, I think it's having open dialogues, conversations like we're having today,
Mhm.
making sure that companies are open to it, receptive, talking about how do we have better career paths, defined career paths for women, creating mentorship programs. It all comes back to talking about it. And I think if we continue to do that, I think there's awareness, you get perspective from diverse groups and to understand better how we can all perform at a higher level.
Yeah, it's almost like if you don't open up the conversation, you never know how they're thinking or what they're thinking, right? I mean, they
That's
may have the
right.
same thoughts like you. It's just that no, I'm not going to say anything because nobody's saying anything. But having that open dialogue. Do you have that in your company right now where people talk things out?
Absolutely. I am very fortunate to be at Clio. I've been here 5 months, and I've
Mhm.
been floored with the open conversations, dialogues, the support system that we have here. It is We're a mission driven company, and it really feels true. While As we continue to put different programs to support all sorts of inclusivity and diversity.
Well, when you were looking at your world, okay, is there something that and you can answer this or not, it's up to you, but is there something that you would like people to know about Lisa that maybe they don't know?
Gosh, that's a great question. I'll make it fun a little bit. I love Formula One, and
Oh
that
wow.
passion came about during COVID. Drive to Survive became just a documentary that I became fascinated with. Again, coming from technology, the
Mhm.
technology that takes to build these cars, to drive these cars, I was just in awe. So I've become quite the F1 fanatic, and I am Team Red Bull, if you're curious.
Yes.
So can't wait for the new season to start.
I'm similar. I got hooked on that as well. It's amazing how they're almost all roughly similar drivers, and the difference is really in the car itself and all that data points. And when you get into the technology component of this, even the cybersecurity aspects of it, right? The
That's
data has
right.
to be protected because, of course, everybody wants to steal the info. And yeah, don't get me started there. Interesting subject. Um, well, who do you think is going to win this season? Maybe.
Checo has to be.
Okay. I'm making a note and see if that works out.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, are you a book or a movie person?
I would say a bit of both. I'm not so big into movies. I love reading books. So yeah, I would say about equal weight.
One recommendation in each, or one?
I love The Alchemist. That has been a book that when I'm asked by actually people early in their career, let's tell them one book you would recommend. Generally, I would share all sorts of business books. There's a lot of great business books out there, but The Alchemist has sort of been my guiding light as I've made different decisions in my professional career, as well as in my personal life. Just being open to opportunities, I think, is a good way to simmer that down to. In terms of movies, that's a great question. Well, last night I just wrapped up the We Are the World documentary. It's top of mind. And that is a song from my generation. And it's just amazing the talent that they were able to gather for one night. And, there's a lot of analogies to business and how people work together, and how if you are all in unison, you're able to move and do great things.
Imagine, I did not know that that movie was done. Well, the song was done in one night, and it was written so fast, and all
That's
those egos getting into one room. You think there would be, craziness happening, but
Yeah.
I did not know. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone knew, and it's amazing how it kind of all came together. But what a great story! Wouldn't it be great if companies could work like this? You know,
Oh my gosh. It'd be amazing. I think did think about the sign that they put at the top of the door as the talent
check
was
your
walking
egos.
in, check your ego at the door, I believe was the saying. I think if we were all able to do that, man, it'd just be a tremendous movement that we would have.
It's a really interesting perception because I think at the end of the day, when you bring a whole bunch of people together, a diverse group of people with great talents, different everything, but they can all come together to create masterpiece. And it seems to me that maybe it's just ego that is prevents people from just supporting and opening to each other. Maybe that's the big takeaway for the planet Earth these days. Check your ego at the door, and
Definitely
make
feels
it
true.
happen. Amazing stuff. What's the future of Lisa? Where do you see yourself? Where are you headed?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm here at Clio. I've been here for 5 months, really loving legal tech and just the impact that companies like Clio is making. And when you think about different verticals in the industry, legal is one of the last ones to really
Mhm.
adopt cloud, to really adopt technology. So it's super exciting to be in this space and just see all the impact that Clio and software is doing.
But what does Clio do, by the way?
We are a legal practice management system. So if you want to think about it as the operation system for legal professionals. So anything a lawyer needs to manage and grow their law firm.
Yeah, and they might need us now because of the fact of AI seems to be encroaching in the legal field. What's any thoughts on that? If you have any on the
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's a lot of buyer beware, right?
Mm.
I think AI can be a transformative technology, not only for different professions, but as well as an individual. I think it's super helpful, and you gotta be careful what you put into AI. But I think it can also really enhance the services that lawyers provide to their clients.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to bring the AI lawyer to defend the AI court case,
A
I'm
little
not
hologram.
not quite sure how that's going to work, but good luck. Um, talking about AI, I mean, AI obviously is the thing that everybody talks about forever now in the last year, and it's certainly going to impact all of our lives, and certainly could impact diversity. It could impact everybody. What's your thoughts on how impact could, or maybe should not, impact the way diversity is right now? And any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a tough question because
Mm,
we don't know what we don't know. I think
mm,
we're still, if you think about it, ChatGPT came on board, a year and a half ago, and
yeah.
already how we're seeing that impact to technology, again, to our personal lives. I think it has an opportunity to really equalize the world in terms of diversity and gender equality. But I think there's still a lot to see.
Yeah, I guess it's about getting that bias attitude out, in that if we allow AI to be created without some guardrails, and particularly with input from
Right?
diversity, we could be marginalizing a lot of people in the world. But dot 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 to be continued. We'll see where that leads.
It definitely can go either way, to your point.
Yeah.
But yeah, more to see.
And that's another big reason why we need more diversity at the table, at the leadership table, because that is really what's going to help guide it or keep it on the right track, I believe. So, looking forward to seeing how that evolves in the future. Um, I guess the last word is like, if you had some young girls in a room at school or whatever, and you wanted to give them some advice as to why they should certainly consider technology at their top of the list, what advice would you give them?
Technology's fun. I know it sometimes can be scary. It can seem something that's not approachable, but there's many aspects to technology. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to be designing product. You can be in marketing. You can be in sales. So I think just don't think so narrowly about technology, as well as be curious. Definitely look into AI, see how it's transforming our different industry and our world. And I'd say highlight your capabilities. Really look at where there's that intersection where you feel you have the skill set and that can be adopted into a future in technology.
Well, there you have it. Well, I thank you for your insights today. I think these are the kind of things that they all need to hear, the younger generation, and not just younger generation, everybody in the industry, right? Because
Totally agree.
sometimes they're stuck, right? They're stuck in a
Right.
position and they don't know how to free themselves up. So, connect with each other, reach out, create some kind of a group somehow, and move forward. Don't look back.
That's right.
Take care, Lisa. It's been a pleasure, and we shall talk to you later. Cheers.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time.